Good morning and welcome to another school assembly and the start of a new month. I simply cannot believe that we've made it to June and we're now only 4 weeks away until the end of the academic session. As you will have seen from government announcements at the end of last week, Scotland has begun the process of moving out of lockdown, and now we are in phase 1 and able to meet with others from a separate household, as long as we are in an outdoor environment and of course still physically distanced. I really hope that this means that you will be able to enjoy this wonderful weather that seems to have blessed us since lockdown began. Our academic team are very conscious that many of you will be working far harder than perhaps you might have done should we not have gone into lockdown. Our usual summer term is blessed with many outdoor activities, trips, and of course a rich diet of athletics, cricket, tennis, amongst other sports. At times like this also, Donaldson's lawn would be a favourite place for groups to assemble, to chat, to laugh, perhaps to read quietly, but to enjoy each other's company. Do make sure you're giving yourself opportunities to be outside, enjoying fresh air, and of course, the sun. I know many of you will thrive when working with a structured timetable, and that working through a series of lessons can be enormously helpful. Do make sure you give yourself breaks between academic work to mirror the pattern of the school day as closely as you can. What you have all achieved in this period of lockdown is quite superb, and you should be very proud indeed that you've managed to cope so well as this global pandemic has swept across the world. We are not out of it yet, but the signs are very promising, and with continued suppression of the virus, I hope we will move closer and closer to returning to normal life. If we were in the normal pattern of events, we would be welcoming back today our 5ths and 6ths who would have recently completed their National 5 and higher exams. We'd also be embarking from today on teaching the new academic courses for 2020-2021. It's strange, therefore, to think that we are almost a term into the teaching of these subjects, having moved far earlier than we ever would have done into the delivery of new academic courses. With luck, this means that many of our students will be well on the way with these new exam courses. Congratulations are also due to members of the 4ths who completed their assessment week before half term. This was a totally new experience for everyone. Sitting online examinations remotely and completing a variety of assessments in this new format, it was a huge task, and a massive congratulations and thank you both to the members of the 4ths and also their family members who undoubtedly will have supported them while that process unfolded. I'd also like to thank members of both the IT and the Support for Learning teams who enabled these exams and made sure that they went as smoothly as possible, as well as members of the pastoral team who supported students with the stresses, anxiety and concerns that any form of assessment seems to bring. It was a new venture, and it was remarkable how well the process unfolded for nearly everyone. I would also like to thank those members of the 6th who have recently put themselves through the stresses and strains of an EFA interview in preparation for the new academic session. We have only 2 further interviews to complete this week, and I hope to select the EFA team for next year with announcements coming out in the final week of term. I love the interview process, though maybe that's because it's me that's asking the questions. It's a hugely uplifting process to hear so many positive ideas and dreams that the students have for the school and for themselves next year. And we often talk in these interviews about ways in which we can improve the school and make it a happier and safer place for our students. Ideas from that student voice should always be heard in our school development planning, and this interview process always brings forward a few wonderful ideas. One of the discussed topics that was of particular interest was in having more student choice in the songs that are sung when the school assembles together. I'm sure we followed a pattern similar to most, if not all, schools around the UK in having hymns as our chosen type of song that are used to unite the student voice. Singing is good for you. That goes without saying, but I am conscious that what we sing is often determined by historical choice. But what if? I'm always drawn to asking this sort of question when leading a school. It's often said that 95% of a school year is simply history repeating itself. But what if? What if other songs were to be added to the list of songs known, memorised, loved and long remembered by our student body? Songs that make us smile, make us feel happier, make us feel better. Songs that bring us closer together as a group while singing them. Mr. Calder's wonderful assembly with the junior school before half term struck a chord in exactly this vein. When sung well, all songs have the ability to transform us and take us to a different place, if only for a short time. The performance of The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel shows just how powerful singing together can be. But what songs? It's got me thinking about what would be the top 10 songs that EA students would choose for us to sing. Now, straight away, if you are a pessimist, the pitfalls in such a challenge are immediately obvious. Some people will immediately gravitate to songs that would be inappropriate, impossible to sing, chosen only for a cheap laugh, and a pure and direct reflection of immaturity. So these are, by their very nature, easy to reject. So a challenge, therefore. If you would like to suggest a song for next year, email it to me at rector@edinburghacademy.org.uk and I will compile a top 10 list of songs chosen by students at the school. Basic rules. Nothing rude. Age appropriate, from 11 to 18. Can be preferably accompanied by piano or organ. And, following a rule that I learnt myself at school, your mum needs to be happy singing it with you while stood next to you. If she would not be, it is not appropriate. If you were to choose a song that would unite the student body and we could all sing together to get us underway on a cold winter's morning into school, what would that song be? Here are my starters for 10. Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond, Hey Jude, The Beatles, Imagine by John Lennon, Don't Look Back in Anger, Oasis, and Let It Be, again by the Beatles. It's actually a lot harder than it first seems. Have a think, and if you would like to make a suggestion to me by email, I will compile the top 10 list for the end of term. No suggestions? I get to choose my own songs. In closing today, therefore, I thought I would share some words of wisdom that I only learnt at the end of last week. They say education never stops, and I am a firm believer in that. I know this to be true. We never stop learning. We learn in the normal flow of education. We learn through going about our everyday lives. We learn from disappointment. We learn from our successes. In fact, we often learn more from our disappointments. However, we always keep learning. At the end of an interview last week with a potential new EFA, we were discussing styles of leadership and how a potential student leader could deal with a difficult situation. Now, clearly, one could easily draw from the often used descriptions of different types of leaders. Some are autocratic, some democratic, some are authoritative, some succeed through servant leadership. However, the interviewer, the amazing Mrs. Slavin, on hearing the candidate's description of their own leadership style, simply said, "Ah, I see, you are the son." Confused, I listened to the following explanation and the reference to the Aesop's fable, a new one that I had never heard. It made me smile when remembering countless conversations with new school prefects who were expressing newfound frustration at not being able to make uncooperative teenagers follow simple instructions and show them respect. It's a wonderful message for all. It's called The North Wind and the Sun. The North Wind boasted of great strength. The Sun argued that there was great power in gentleness. "We shall have a contest," said the Sun. Far below, a man travelled a winding road. He was wearing a warm winter coat. "As a test of strength," said the Sun, "let us see which of us can take the coat off that man." "It will be quite simple to make the man remove his coat," bragged the wind. The wind blew so hard the birds clung to the trees. The world was filled with dust and leaves. But the harder the wind blew down the road, the tighter the shivering man clutched his coat. Then the sun came out from behind a cloud. Sun warmed the air and the frosty ground. The man on the road unbuttoned his coat. The sun grew slowly brighter and brighter. Soon the man felt so hot, he took off his coat and sat down in a shady spot. "How did you do that?" said the wind. "It was easy," said the sun. "I lit the day. Through gentleness, I got my way." Have a wonderful week.